Former Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy was one of those at the meetings, and we asked him about what the next president will face, whether it is Donald Trump or Kamala Harris.
We're already facing it. We are paying more in interest than we paid in defense. The proportion of GDP, what debt is, we haven't seen this since World War II, but we were fighting to save the world, right? What are we doing now? And it's just on a spiral effect that if we don't do something now, the options will be taken away for us to save those programs that we know are so critical for this country.
In your own party, you have somebody like a Glenn Yuen, who has some experience with business. He really understands the way a budget works. Do you have hopes that a Glenn Yuen, who's not going to be the vice presidential nominee now, contrary to what I think you would have preferred, is there a voice for a Glenn Yuen right now in your party?
Yeah, and you have to remember, a vice president is just one position. You pick a team and a cabinet. I think Glenn Yuen would be perfect in a cabinet because now, not only does he have business experience, he has government experience as a governor. That's a manager. I think governors make better presidents, right? They can't print more money, but they have to balance a budget. They have to run agencies they didn't create, and they have to work with both sides of the aisle. And what Glenn also did was understand the importance of education and the power of what that changes individual lives. I think Glenn inside would be fabulous. And there's a lot of people out there that I think can add to the ticket to actually make it more powerful on both sides.
You've said that you think Donald Trump is a changed man after that attempt on his life. You've seen him, you've dealt with him, you believe that. Is he a changed man when it comes to economic policy?
You know, there's certain things that he believed long before he ever ran. And some of them were Republican ideas in the turn of the century. You know, he believes in a strong nation. He's always said that. He believes that tariffs, not let other countries have their way about him. And people would get mad at the way he delivered, but he was 100% right when he went to NATO and said, you got to pay more. You promised all this time, and these other people would invade. He gives America greater strength. The only time Putin never invaded as he was in charge was under Trump's administration. So, I mean, there's certain things he fundamentally believes, but he does get by being a business person. Now, that may set people off differently because he'll say things that seem out of the ballpark for a politician, but it's not for a business person who's negotiating.
Well, what about the other side? I understand you're a Republican, but
Yeah.
now have Kamala Harris. Does she have an opportunity to make some sort of a pivot on Bidenomics that might make sense toward the center? Do you have any hope of that?
She does, but you want to look at history. What's interesting, and this race is totally different. The last 6 weeks of politics in America is something we probably will never see again. A top candidate being convicted, a debate that a sitting president collapses on, an assassination attempt you probably haven't seen since the 60s, and the president pulling out. Now, the vice president is a part of that ticket, so all those policy things she's still wrapped to. She comes from San Francisco, so she comes from being in the Senate. She was rated as the furthest to the other side. But it's a new day for Democrats when they were about to completely collapse. But it looks a lot like 1988. Dukakis becomes the nominee. He's a liberal governor from Massachusetts and picks a moderate Democrat senator from Texas. He's ahead by 17 points mid-July coming out of their convention. You've got George Bush behind being the VP. He picks this young senator from the Midwest that doesn't take off very well, right? Sounds similar? But what happened? You saw those policies come out across the Willie Horton, the week on crime, when crime's a big concern to people. Then you saw the moment of Dukakis in a tank. Yeah. So the question became, are they prepared for the 3 a.m. call? Then you got that moment in time in a debate, are you still opposed to the death penalty even if your wife was raped? And he said yes. So it was out of step where America was. So it really did come down to policies, and lo and behold, George Bush had a really big election. I don't know if that happens there now, but you've got a history of Kamala starting very strong in campaigns, but as the campaign goes, she doesn't do as well. Now, this is a short campaign, so maybe advantage to her. But she has a long history of policies that are kind of out of step when it comes to crime, inflation, and the border, and she had a responsibility for it. So she's going to have to overcome that. Now, Trump has a ceiling to where he was before, And the last presidential race, Biden won it by 48,918 votes. So if you ask me to run the race, it's all about Pennsylvania. If Trump only kept the states that he won last time when he lost, and he only picked up Pennsylvania and Georgia and won the majority of votes in Maine, that's 270. He wins. So it's going to be interesting that Kamala's got the ability to pick her VP candidate after knowing all the cards are held out. It's an advantage to her. Where does she go?
Well, that sounds like instead of picking a senator from Texas, she should pick a governor from Pennsylvania named Shapiro. Is that your advice to her?
No, I don't want to give her good advice. Pick somebody else. Look, I think Shapiro would be smart. Just as I thought, if you picked Youngkin, it's like a game of chess. You want to put more states in play. It would have put Virginia in play, and it would have been a better play to. But she may look to Arizona thinking she could play out west, right? Deny Trump, Arizona, Nevada, reshape the debate when it comes to the border. Mark Kelly being an astronaut. He's a very interesting candidate. Go to Tim Walz, a manager. I think if she's being a senator, I'd pick a governor, a manager, right? And try to get away from what she's already tried to, those policies. But look, you're 99 days out. The advice I'd give anybody, I would listen to Al Davis. Just win, baby. Whatever it takes, just win.